Hello, and a very warm welcome. I am the Sleepy Geographer, and I am so glad you have joined me here tonight. Settle in, find a comfortable position, and allow the weight of the day to gently release from your shoulders and your mind. Tonight, we are embarking on a quiet journey. We are traveling to the great, still places of our world, the lands of endless silence. We are venturing into the heart of the desert, not as a place of emptiness, but as a place of profound peace and subtle beauty. Before we begin, I always like to imagine where you might be listening from. Perhaps you are in a bustling city or a quiet town by the sea. If you feel inclined, you can leave a comment below telling me where in the world you are finding your rest tonight. It connects us all. And as is our gentle tradition here, if you enjoy these journeys, a quiet like and subscribe helps our small community grow. To all of our returning subscribers, thank you. Your presence here makes these explorations possible, and I am deeply grateful for your continued support. We will travel together across sun-drenched dunes and under vast, starry skies, listening to the quiet hum of the planet itself. The desert holds ancient stories, written in stone and sand, and tonight we will read a few of its quietest pages together. It is a landscape that teaches patience, resilience, and the art of listening to the silence between sounds. So take a slow, deep breath. Inhale the calm of the evening, and as you exhale, let go of any lingering thoughts. There is nothing you need to do now, nowhere you need to be, except right here, drifting comfortably into a state of deep relaxation. Of course, my only hope is that our journey tonight isn't so interesting that it keeps you from your well-deserved sleep. That is, after all, the gentle paradox of our time together. To learn, but to learn in a way that allows the mind to soften and rest. Let my voice be a steady, quiet guide, a gentle current in a calm river, leading you toward the shores of sleep. We will explore the forces that create these vast, arid landscapes and the remarkable life that calls them home. From the great ergs, the seas of sand, to the stark beauty of a desert canyon carved by water that is now only a memory. Everything in the desert moves at a different pace, a geological pace. It invites us to slow down our own internal rhythm. So let your breathing become slower, deeper, and more regular, following the ancient, quiet rhythm of the earth itself. Let each word wash over you without any need to hold on to it. Simply allow the sounds and ideas to drift by. Your mind can be as vast and open as the desert sky we are about to explore, uncluttered, peaceful, and infinitely deep. Feel the support of the surface beneath you, holding you completely, allowing you to relax even more deeply. You are safe, you are comfortable, and you are in a space dedicated to tranquility and rest. Nothing else matters now. And so, our journey into the lands of endless silence begins. Let us close our eyes and travel there now. To truly understand the desert, we must first unlearn what we think we know. We must let go of the idea of emptiness, of a void. Instead, we will learn to see it as a place of immense presence. A presence defined not by noise and clutter, but by space, light, and time. Our travels tonight will take us across the globe, to different kinds of deserts, each with its own unique character, its own unique silence. We will feel the dry heat of the great sand seas like the Sahara, where dunes march slowly across the continent, driven by an ancient wind. We will then journey to the high, cold deserts of Central Asia, like the Gobi, where the silence is edged with a profound, biting chill. We will even visit the driest places on Earth, the coastal deserts of South America, where fog is the only source of water for months on end. And finally, we will touch upon the largest desert of all, a polar desert, Antarctica, a continent of ice where dryness is defined by the frozen air. Along the way, we will uncover the great forces at play, the atmospheric patterns that deny the land its rain, creating vast rain shadows behind mountain ranges. We will witness the patient, relentless power of the wind, the master sculptor of the desert, shaping sand into breathtaking forms and polishing rock into smooth, ancient art. And we will discover the secret of water. In the desert, water is a ghost, a memory, but its power is visible everywhere in the deep canyons it carved long ago. But this is not just a story of geology. It is a story of life, of unbelievable adaptation and resilience in the face of scarcity. We will meet the plants that can wait 100 years for a single rainfall, and the nocturnal animals that have mastered the art of living in the cool of the night. Each creature, each plant, is a testament to the quiet, unyielding persistence of life in the most challenging of canvases. This journey is about recalibrating our senses, learning to see the subtle shades of brown, red, and gold, learning to hear the sound of wind on sand. It is about understanding that a landscape's value is not measured by its productivity, but by its existence, its history, its profound and ancient stillness. So the one final question I will leave you with to ponder as you drift is this: what can we learn from a place that asks for nothing but to be left alone? What wisdom is held in the vast, quiet spaces between the mountains, between the dunes, and between the stars and the desert sky? Let us begin at the very foundation. A desert, in its simplest terms, is a place of deficit. It is a region where more water is lost than is received. This loss happens through evaporation, the sun pulling moisture from the ground, returning it to the thirsty air before it can be of use to most life. The defining feature is not necessarily heat, nor is it sand. It is this simple, profound, and overarching lack of available water. Aridity. An area might receive less than 250 millimeters or 10 inches of rain in an entire year to be classified as a desert, a tiny amount for a vast landscape. Imagine all the rain your home receives in a year. Now imagine spreading that meager amount over a vast, sun-drenched expanse of land. This simple fact is the starting point for everything else. It is the rule that governs the shape of the land, the color of the rock, and the nature of life. It is the great filter, allowing only the most patient, the most resourceful, and the most resilient forms of life to pass through its gates. This aridity creates the silence. With less water, there is less dense vegetation to rustle in the wind, and fewer large animals to fill the air with sound. There are great forces that conspire to create a desert. These are not malicious forces, but simply the impartial laws of physics and atmospheric science, playing out on a planetary scale over millions of years. One of the most elegant and powerful of these is the phenomenon known as the rain shadow. Imagine a vast, warm ocean breathing moisture into the air. This air, heavy with unspoken rain, begins to travel inland, carried by the prevailing winds. It is a promise of life, a moving ocean in the sky, destined for the heart of a continent. But on its journey, this moist air encounters a formidable obstacle, a great mountain range rising like a wall of stone to pierce the sky. The mountains do not move, they simply wait, patient and immense. The air has no choice but to begin a slow, laborious ascent, climbing the windward slopes. As it rises, it enters the colder, thinner regions of the atmosphere. The coldness is a catalyst, a quiet command that forces the moisture to change its form. The invisible vapor begins to coalesce, to remember its nature as water. This transformation is where the magic and the theft occurs. The cooling air can no longer hold its precious cargo of water. The vapor condenses into thick, heavy clouds that cling to the mountainsides. Soon, the clouds release their burden. Rain, or perhaps snow, begins to fall, quenching the thirst of the windward slope. Forests grow lush and green. Rivers are born and flow freely. This side of the mountain becomes a paradise of abundance, a testament to the water that was stolen from the sky. The air, in its great effort, has given away its most valuable possession. Having given up all its moisture, the air crests the mountain peaks. It is now a different entity entirely. It is cold, yes, but more importantly, it is profoundly dry. As it begins its descent down the other side, the leeward slope, it starts to warm up again. This warming process increases the air's capacity to hold moisture, making it incredibly thirsty. Instead of giving water to the land, this dry, descending air begins to pull any lingering moisture from the ground and the sparse vegetation below. It takes rather than gives. This is the birth of a rain-shadow desert. It is a landscape defined not by its own properties, but by its relationship to the mountains that stand beside it. The desert exists because the mountains are there. They are partners in a grand geological drama. The Great Basin Desert in North America lies in the shadow of the Sierra Nevada, and the Atacama Desert in Chile, the driest place on Earth, lies in the deep shadow of the Andes. These deserts are monuments to a journey that was interrupted, a promise of rain that was broken by a wall of stone. While mountains can create deserts on a regional scale, there is a larger, more fundamental force at work, an atmospheric engine that encircles our entire planet. This engine creates great belts of aridity, bands of desert that are written into the very fabric of Earth's climate system. These are the subtropical deserts, the most famous and vast of which is the Sahara. Their existence begins not with a lack, but with an abundance of energy at the planet's equator. The engine is fueled by the direct, powerful heat of the tropical sun. At the equator, the sun's energy is most concentrated. It heats the surface of the land and ocean, which in turn heats the air directly above it. This warm air, now buoyant and full of moisture evaporated from the tropical seas, begins to rise. It ascends high into the atmosphere, a colossal, invisible column of warm, wet air. As it rises, it cools, and just like the air climbing a mountain, it releases its moisture. This is why the equator is home to the world's great rainforests, which are drenched daily by this rising, cooling, raining air. But the journey of this air is not over. High in the upper atmosphere, it cannot rise forever. It begins to spread out, flowing away from the equator towards the north and south poles. As it travels, it continues to cool and becomes denser. Around 30 degrees latitude, both north and south of the equator, this now cool, dense, and critically very dry air begins to sink back down towards the Earth's surface. It is a slow, gentle, but relentless descent of an unimaginably vast quantity of air covering huge swaths of the planet. This descending air creates zones of high atmospheric pressure. As the air sinks, it is compressed and warms up, further reducing its relative humidity. This warm, dry, high-pressure air actively prevents clouds from forming. It is like a great, invisible lid placed upon the sky, suppressing the upward movement of any moist air from the ground that might otherwise create rain. The sky in these regions is often perpetually, brilliantly clear. The sun beats down, unimpeded by clouds, baking the land below day after day, year after year. And so the great desert belts are formed. The Sahara and the Arabian Desert in the north, the Kalahari and the Great Australian Desert in the south. They are not random occurrences, but the logical, predictable outcome of the planet's heat engine. They are the dry counterpart to the wet tropics, two sides of the same coin, balanced in a planetary system of circulation known as the Hadley cell. The rainforests exist because the deserts exist, and the deserts exist because the rainforests exist. They are forever linked by this silent, invisible river in the sky. The lack of rain defines the desert, but it is the wind that gives it its character. The wind is the desert's primary agent of change, its tireless sculptor. In a land with little water to bind the soil and scarce vegetation to anchor it, the earth is left exposed and vulnerable to the air's constant movement. The wind works slowly, patiently, grain by grain, over millennia. It is a force that is both destructive and creative, sweeping the landscape clean, while simultaneously building new and fantastic forms from the material it has gathered. One of the wind's first tasks is a process of sorting, known as deflation. The wind acts as a giant sieve, passing over the land and picking up the finest, lightest particles of sand, silt, and dust. It can carry these tiny grains for immense distances, sometimes across entire oceans. What is left behind are the larger, heavier materials, pebbles, gravel, and bare rock. Over thousands of years, This process creates a surface known as desert pavement, a tight mosaic of interlocking stones that armors the land against further erosion. It is a landscape swept clean. This desert pavement is a strange and beautiful surface. It can stretch for hundreds of square miles, a flat, hard floor under the vast open sky. The stones are often polished by the constant, gentle abrasion of wind-blown dust, giving them a dark, glossy sheen called desert varnish. This varnish is a thin coating of iron and manganese oxides, slowly deposited by microscopic bacteria over unimaginable lengths of time. Each stone is a small canvas, painted by geology and biology in perfect, slow collaboration, a testament to the deep, patient time of the desert. The wind is not only a carrier, but also a carver. The fine grains of sand it carries become a powerful abrasive tool. This is the process of abrasion, or sandblasting. Any rock formation that stands in the wind's path is subjected to a relentless, microscopic bombardment. The wind, armed with its tiny particles of quartz, acts like a sheet of sandpaper, slowly scouring, polishing, and reshaping the rock. It is a process of infinite patience, whereby the softest of touches, repeated a billionfold, can wear down the hardest of stones. This sandblasting action often concentrates its power near the ground, where the wind is carrying the heaviest load of sand particles. As a result, rocks are often eroded more quickly at their base than at their top. This differential erosion creates surreal and top-heavy rock formations known as mushroom rocks or pedestal rocks. They stand in silent, lonely defiance of gravity, balanced precariously, sculpted over eons into impossible shapes. They are monuments to the quiet, persistent power of the wind, standing as proof that the gentlest forces can create the most dramatic results. Sometimes, a larger rock will have facets, or flat faces, scoured into its surface by a persistent wind blowing from one direction. These rocks are called ventifacts, literally artifacts of the wind. If the prevailing wind direction changes over geological time, or if the rock itself is shifted or turned, new facets will be carved at different angles. A single venifact can therefore be a compass, a frozen record of ancient winds, telling a silent story of the changing climate and the atmospheric history of the place where it rests. The sound of the wind in the desert is one of the purest expressions of silence. There are no leaves to rustle, no dense forest to create a roar. There is only the sound of air moving over sand and rock. It can be a low, deep hum that you feel more than you hear, the vibration of the planet itself, or it can be a high, whistling sigh as it passes through a narrow rock crevice. It is a sound that emphasizes the vastness, the sheer scale of the space around you. It is the voice of emptiness, a song of pure geography. And what becomes of all the sand that the wind has gathered? It does not simply vanish. The wind carries its load until its velocity decreases, perhaps in the lee of a mountain range or in a vast, shallow basin. Here, where the wind's energy wanes, it is forced to drop the particles it has carried so far. Grain by grain, the sand begins to accumulate. This is the beginning of a dune, the birth of a sand sea. A process of erosion in one place becomes a process of creation in another. The desert is always unmaking and remaking itself. These vast accumulations of sand are known as ergs, or sand seas. The word itself carries a sense of immense scale. An erg is not just a few dunes, but a whole region dominated by wind-deposited sand, an area where the bedrock is almost entirely buried. The Great Sand Sea of Egypt, or the endless dunes of the Rub, Al-Khali in Arabia. These are some of the most formidable and mesmerizing landscapes on the planet. They are oceans of silica, with waves that move not every few seconds, but over the course of years and centuries. To look upon a sand sea is to witness a landscape in slow, perpetual motion. The dunes are not static features. They are alive, migrating slowly but inexorably in the direction of the prevailing wind. A single dune can move several meters in a year. The windward side, known as the Stoss Slope, is a long, gentle incline up which sand grains are pushed by the wind. They travel up this slope until they reach the crest, the sharp ridge at the very top of the dune. Here, they tumble down the steeper leeward side, known as the slip face. This constant process of erosion on one side and deposition on the other is how the entire dune form advances. It is a slow, silent march across the desert floor. The slip face maintains a remarkably consistent angle, known as the angle of repose, which is the steepest angle at which a pile of sand can remain stable, typically around 34 degrees. The occasional collapse of the slip face, a tiny avalanche of sand, is one of the few sounds one might hear in the deep desert, a soft, whispering sigh as the dune adjusts itself. Dunes are not all the same. Their shape, their morphology, is a direct expression of the wind that created them and the amount of sand available. The most classic and recognizable dune is the Barchan dune. It is crescent-shaped, with two horns pointing downwind. Barchan dunes form in areas with a steady, unidirectional wind and a limited supply of sand. They are beautiful, almost sculptural forms that often march together in great fields, like a fleet of golden ships sailing across the desert floor. Where the wind direction is more variable, but still coming from a generally consistent direction, transverse dunes may form. These are long, wavy ridges of sand that are oriented perpendicular to the prevailing wind. They look like great, solidified waves on the ocean, stretching for miles across the landscape. Walking along the crest of a transverse dune, with its knife-edge ridge, you feel as though you are on the spine of some immense, sleeping creature. To one side is the gentle slope, to the other the steep drop of the slip face. In some parts of the desert, particularly in large basins where winds converge from multiple directions, one of the most complex and beautiful dune types can form, the star dune. These are pyramidal dunes with 3 or more arms radiating from a central peak. They are not migratory like Barchan dunes, but instead grow vertically as sand is deposited from the various wind directions. Some star dunes can grow to be hundreds of meters high, making them among the tallest sandhills on Earth. They are stationary giants, permanent fixtures in a shifting world. Finally, where strong winds blow parallel to each other, but in slightly different directions, they can create longitudinal or linear dunes. These are incredibly long, straight ridges of sand that can run for hundreds of kilometers, perfectly aligned with the wind regime. They are like great, sandy brushstrokes painted across the canvas of the desert. The spaces between them, the corridors, are often swept clean of sand, revealing the stony desert pavement below. They are a map of the wind, a physical record of the air's invisible currents. The surface of these dunes is a place of infinite and subtle detail. The wind creates tiny ripples on the sand, miniature versions of the great dunes themselves. They change with every gust of wind, a fleeting pattern that is constantly being written and erased. The texture of the sand itself tells a story. The grains are often rounded and frosted from their constant collisions with one another during their wind-borne journeys. Each grain is a tiny polished gem, a survivor of a long and violent history, now resting for a moment in profound silence. We often imagine the desert as a place of uniform color, a monotonous beige or tan. But this is a simplification that hides an incredible truth. The color of a sand sea is determined by the geology of the source from which the sand was eroded. The white sands of New Mexico are made of pure gypsum. The black sands of Iceland are volcanic basalt. And the iconic red-orange sands of the Namib or Australian deserts owe their brilliant color to a thin coating of iron oxide that has rusted, ever so slowly, over thousands of years. This process of reddening is a sign of great age. The older a dune is, the more time the iron minerals in its quartz grains have had to oxidize, to essentially rust in the open air. The youngest, most active dunes are often a pale yellow, while the ancient, more stable dunes at the heart of a sand sea can be a deep, fiery crimson. The landscape, therefore, is a clock. Its colors do not just speak of beauty, but of deep time, revealing the history of the dune field's stability and movement over millennia. To stand within a sand sea is a humbling experience. In every direction, the world is reduced to two simple elements, the sand below and the sky above. The horizon is a soft, curving line where the dunes meet the heavens. There are few landmarks, and the landscape is constantly, if imperceptibly, changing. It is a place that can feel disorienting, a place where one's own sense of scale is lost. You become a tiny, insignificant figure in a world of immense, graceful, and silent forms. There is a profound peace in this feeling of smallness. The silence in a sand sea is particularly deep. The soft sand absorbs sound, muffling any echoes. Sounds do not travel far, they are simply swallowed by the landscape. In the absence of external noise, you become acutely aware of the sounds of your own existence, your breathing, your heartbeat. It is a silence that forces introspection, a quiet that allows the mind to settle and expand to fill the vast space. It is not an empty silence, but a full one, rich with presence and a sense of the earth's ancient, sleeping power. The desert is not entirely a creation of the wind. Even in the driest places on earth, water makes its presence known. It may not fall from the sky for years, or even decades, but when it does, its power to shape the landscape is immense and immediate. A sudden, intense thunderstorm, a rare gift from the upper atmosphere, can unleash a flash flood. With no soil or vegetation to absorb the deluge, the water races across the hardened surface, funneling into ancient dry riverbeds and canyons with tremendous force. These dry riverbeds, known as washes or arroyos in North America and wadis in Africa and the Middle East, are the circulatory system of the desert. For 99% of their existence, they are quiet, empty channels of sand and rock, pathways for the wind. But for that 1% of the time, they become raging torrents, carrying a slurry of mud, rock, and debris. They are rivers in waiting, ghosts of watercourses that spring to life with ferocious but fleeting energy. They are a reminder that even here, water is the ultimate sculptor. The evidence of this ephemeral water is everywhere. The canyons are carved not by wind, but by the memory of ancient floods. Their steep walls and deep winding channels are a testament to water's power to cut through solid rock over geological time. After a flood, the water quickly disappears, either evaporating under the intense sun or sinking deep into the sandy floor of the wash. But it leaves behind a transformed landscape with newly carved channels, deposited debris, and most importantly, the renewed promise of life. In the lowest point of a desert basin, this floodwater may have nowhere else to go. It can pool to form a temporary, shallow lake. These features are known as playas. For a few days or weeks, they are shimmering mirrors, reflecting the vast, empty sky. But the sun and the dry air are relentless. The water begins to evaporate, and as it does, it leaves behind whatever minerals were dissolved within it. The lake shrinks, its waters becoming increasingly saline until it vanishes completely, leaving its mineral soul behind. What remains on the floor of the playa is a perfectly flat, white crust of salt, clay, and other minerals. A salt flat. These are among the flattest natural surfaces on Earth. The Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, or the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, are famous examples. When dry, the surface can crack into a beautiful mosaic of interlocking polygons, a vast, natural ceramic tile floor stretching to the horizon. It is a sterile, otherworldly landscape, born from the brief and glorious appearance of water. Beneath the parched surface of the desert, water can persist. An oasis is not a mirage, but a very real place where the underground water table intersects with the surface. This can happen in a depression, or at the base of a cliff. Here, water that may have fallen as rain on mountains hundreds of miles away and traveled for thousands of years through underground rock layers finally emerges. It is ancient water, a fossil memory of a wetter time, and its appearance at the surface creates a startling and vibrant pocket of life. The oasis is the ultimate symbol of hope and life in the desert. It is a concentration of biological energy in a landscape defined by its scarcity. For millennia, oases have been vital centers for human settlement and crucial stopping points on trans-desert trade routes. They are a testament to the resilience of both nature and humanity. An oasis is a place where the deep, hidden geology of the desert reveals itself, offering a gift of life-giving water that allows the impossible to flourish in the heart of the arid world. So the desert is not a land without water. It is a land where water is precious, hidden, and powerful. It is a landscape shaped by both the long absence of water and its brief, violent presence. This duality is central to the desert's character. It is a place of extremes, of profound dryness, punctuated by life-giving floods. Understanding this relationship between water and aridity is key to appreciating the subtle complexity of the desert ecosystem and the incredible ingenuity of the life that has learned to thrive within this paradox. And what of life? In this landscape of extremes, of scorching heat and freezing nights, of scarce water and relentless sun, life might seem an impossibility, yet the desert is not empty. It is teeming with life, but it is a secret life, a hidden life. It is a life that operates on a different schedule and by a different set of rules. The creatures and plants of the desert are masters of adaptation, each one a marvel of evolutionary engineering, perfectly sculpted by the harsh conditions of their home. One of the primary strategies for survival is avoidance. Most desert animals are nocturnal or crepuscular, meaning they are active only at night, or during the cooler hours of dawn and dusk. During the brutal heat of the day, they seek shelter in underground burrows, in the shade of rocks, or within the cool interior of a cactus. The desert at noon may seem utterly lifeless, a silent, sun-baked wasteland. But this is an illusion. It is simply sleeping, resting, waiting for the cool shadow of the earth to bring it back to life. The desert kangaroo rat is a perfect example of this mastery. It never needs to drink water in its entire life. It has evolved to derive all the moisture it needs from the dry seeds it eats, through a hyper-efficient metabolic process. Its kidneys are so effective at conserving water that its urine is almost solid. It lives its life in a cool burrow, emerging only at night to forage. It is a creature that has solved the problem of the desert so completely that it has become a self-contained ecosystem of one. Reptiles, being cold-blooded, are particularly well-suited to desert life. Lizards and snakes can regulate their body temperature by moving between sun and shade. Their scaly skin is almost waterproof, preventing precious moisture loss. Many desert snakes, like the sidewinder, have evolved a unique form of locomotion, moving in an S-shaped curve that keeps most of their body off the searing hot sand at any given moment. Each movement is an act of perfect adaptation, a dance of survival, choreographed by the sun. Even insects have found ingenious ways to thrive. The darkling beetle of the Namib Desert has a remarkable technique for harvesting water. In the early morning, it climbs to the crest of a sand dune and stands facing into the moist fog that rolls in from the Atlantic Ocean. It tilts its body forward, and tiny droplets of water from the fog condense on its hardened back. The droplets run down grooves into the beetle's mouth. It literally drinks the air, pulling life from the morning mist in one of nature's most elegant solutions. Desert plants are perhaps even more remarkable, for they cannot move to escape the sun. They must endure. Many, like cacti, are succulents, meaning they store water in their fleshy stems, leaves, or roots. The iconic saguaro cactus of the Sonoran Desert has an accordion-pleated skin that can expand to hold vast quantities of water after a rain, and slowly contract as it uses its reserves during the long, dry spells. Its skin is waxy to prevent evaporation, and its spines are modified leaves that protect it from thirsty animals and provide a little shade. Other plants adopt a different strategy. Instead of storing water, they become masters of dormancy. The creosote bush can shed its leaves and appear dead for years during a drought, only to spring back to life after a single rain. The seeds of many desert wildflowers can lie dormant in the soil for decades, waiting for the precise combination of rainfall and temperature. When the conditions are finally right, they will all germinate at once, covering the desert floor in a spectacular but heartbreakingly brief carpet of color. A superbloom. This phenomenon of the superbloom is a powerful metaphor for the desert itself. It is a landscape of immense, patient potential, hidden just beneath the surface of seeming emptiness. For years, the potential lies sleeping, invisible. But given the right conditions, this incredible life force erupts in a sudden, overwhelming display of beauty. It is a reminder that what appears to be barren is often just waiting for its moment. The silence of the desert is the silence of a seed, dreaming of rain. The root systems of desert plants are a hidden world of their own. Some plants, like mesquite trees, send a single, incredibly long taproot deep into the earth, sometimes over 50 meters down, to search for groundwater far below the surface. Others, like the saguaro, have a shallow but vast network of roots that spreads out just below the surface, ready to absorb the maximum amount of water from even the lightest rainfall before it can evaporate. Each strategy is a different answer to the same question: how do you find water where there is none? Life in the desert is a delicate web of interdependence. The saguaro cactus provides food and shelter for countless species. Gila woodpeckers carve nests in its fleshy stem, which are later inhabited by elf owls. Its flowers feed bats and insects, and its fruit feeds birds and coyotes. When a giant saguaro finally dies, its woody skeleton provides shelter for still more creatures. It is a living apartment building, a restaurant, and a nursery. It is the heart of its community, proving that even in a place of scarcity, generosity and connection are the keys to survival. This entire ecosystem, from the smallest microbe in the soil to the largest bird of prey in the sky, is built upon a foundation of patience. Life here does not fight the desert, it yields to it. It adapts to its rhythms, honors its scarcity, and capitalizes on its fleeting moments of abundance. It is a lesson in resilience, in efficiency, and in the art of waiting. The desert teaches that survival is not always about strength, but about cleverness, conservation, and the wisdom to know when to act and when to simply be still. Humans, too, have learned these lessons. For millennia, indigenous peoples have thrived in deserts around the world. From the sand people of the Kalahari to the Bedouin of Arabia, they developed a deep, intuitive understanding of the landscape, reading the subtle signs of the seasons, knowing where to find water, and how to live in balance with their environment. Their cultures are imbued with the patience and resilience of the desert itself. They did not see the desert as an enemy to be conquered, but as a home that provided for them, as long as its rules were respected. As the sun finally relinquishes its hold on the landscape, the desert undergoes its most profound transformation. The searing heat of the day radiates back into space, and a deep, penetrating cold begins to settle over the sand and rock. This is when the other half of the desert's personality reveals itself. The sky, once a uniform, brilliant blue, becomes a canvas of impossible depth and clarity. With no humidity to blur the view and no city lights to wash it out, the desert night sky is perhaps the most perfect window into the universe available to us on this planet. The darkness that falls here is absolute, a pure and total absence of light that allows the faintest celestial objects to shine with an unfamiliar brilliance. The stars do not seem to be distant points. They feel close, tangible, like diamonds scattered on black velvet. They don't just twinkle, they burn with a steady, intense fire. And there are so many. The familiar constellations are lost in a glittering crowd of countless other suns, a density of light that can be overwhelming in its beauty. It feels less like looking up at the sky and more like floating within it. And then there is the Milky Way. In the desert, it is not a faint, hazy smudge. It is a spectacular, luminous river of light, a celestial cloud of unimaginable scale that stretches from one horizon to the other. You can see its structure, its dark dust lanes, and its glowing nebulae. It is so bright that it can cast a faint, silvery shadow on the ground. To lie on your back in the cool sand and gaze up at the heart of our own galaxy is to experience a sense of scale that is both humbling and deeply comforting. It connects the grains of sand beneath you to the spiral arms of the cosmos. The silence of the desert night is different from the silence of the day. It is deeper, more resonant. The air is often perfectly still, and the cold makes the atmosphere feel dense and solid. The only sound might be the impossibly faint whisper of a high-altitude wind, or the distant call of a nocturnal animal. In this profound quiet, the celestial show above feels all the more powerful. It is a silent symphony of light, a grand cosmic ballet, performed for an audience of sleeping stones and ancient sands. It is a piece that settles not just on the ears, but on the soul. The moon, when it appears, is a different character here. It is not a soft romantic orb, it is a searchlight. Its light is so bright and unfiltered that it can be difficult to look at directly. It washes out the fainter stars, but in return, it illuminates the landscape in a ghostly, monochromatic glow. The world is rendered in shades of silver and black. The dunes and canyons take on a surreal, dreamlike quality. To walk through the desert under a full moon is to walk through a world transformed, a familiar place made mysterious and new. This clarity of the desert sky has not gone unnoticed by science. The world's most powerful telescopes are built on high desert plateaus, like the Atacama in Chile or Mauna Kea in Hawaii. These are places where the atmosphere is at its most stable and transparent. Here, astronomers can peer into the deepest recesses of space, looking back in time to the very dawn of the universe. The desert, a place that holds the deep geological time of our own planet, also provides the clearest portal to understanding the even deeper time of the cosmos itself. The rhythms of the desert are tied to these celestial bodies. The nocturnal animals navigate by the light of the moon and stars. The internal clocks of the dormant plants are set by the length of the days and the slow procession of the seasons. For millennia, human travelers have used the constellations as their map and compass, a reliable guide across a featureless and shifting landscape. The sky is not just a beautiful backdrop, it is an active participant in the life of the desert. It is the great clock, the eternal calendar. As the night wears on, the temperature can plummet, sometimes dropping below freezing even in the hottest of deserts. This extreme diurnal temperature range is another defining characteristic. With no blanket of cloud or humid air to trap the heat, the warmth of the day escapes quickly into the night. This constant expansion and contraction of the rock under the daily cycle of heating and cooling is a powerful weathering force, causing stones to crack and break apart over time. The desert is unmade by its own temperature swings, a slow process of thermal shock. There is a deep comfort in witnessing this celestial cycle from the heart of the desert. It is a reminder of the vast, predictable, and orderly nature of the universe. The planets will continue their silent dance. The galaxies will continue their slow pirouette, regardless of our own small concerns. It offers a profound sense of perspective. To feel yourself as a tiny, temporary observer of this eternal show is to feel a sense of peace, a letting go of the urgent, and an embracing of the infinite. It is a quiet form of meditation offered freely by the turning of the earth. And then, slowly, imperceptibly at first, the cycle begins to turn back towards day. A faint, pearlescent glow appears on the eastern horizon. The deepest black of the sky softens to a dark indigo. The brightest stars begin to fade, their cosmic fire no match for the approaching sun. This is the blue hour, a time of profound tranquility and ethereal beauty. The world is quiet, holding its breath, caught between the dream of the night and the reality of the coming day. It is a moment of perfect fragile balance. The rising of the sun in the desert is a slow, deliberate, and spectacular event. It begins not with light, but with color. The eastern sky is painted with strokes of impossible vibrancy. deep reds, fiery oranges, and soft pinks. These colors are born from the dust particles suspended in the dry desert air, which scatter the sunlight in a breathtaking display. The light doesn't just arrive, it announces its coming. The colors creep up from the horizon, slowly illuminating the undersides of any high clouds, setting the sky ablaze before the sun itself has even appeared. When the first sliver of the sun finally breaks the horizon, it seems to set the world on fire. The light that pours over the landscape is not white or yellow, but a deep, liquid gold. This is the golden hour, a brief period when the sun is low in the sky and its light is warm, soft, and directional. It is a photographer's dream, but it is also a geologist's best friend. This low-angle light rakes across the land, casting long, dramatic shadows that reveal every ripple in the sand, every crack in the rock, and every subtle contour of the terrain. The desert's texture is finally revealed. These long shadows are like a second, darker landscape, superimposed upon the first. They fill the canyons with pools of deep purple and trace the elegant curves of the dunes in stark relief. A landscape that can seem flat and featureless at midday becomes a complex world of light and shade, of form and depth. The shadows move as the sun climbs higher, shrinking and retreating, a slow and silent tide of darkness receding from the shores of the sunlit world. It is a beautiful, fleeting performance that happens every single day. As the sun climbs higher into the sky, the quality of the light changes again. The warm, golden hues give way to a brilliant, almost clinical white light. The shadows shrink until, at high noon, they are little more than dark smudges directly beneath the objects that cast them. This overhead light tends to flatten the landscape, bleaching out its color and erasing its texture. This is the light that creates the shimmering heat haze on the horizon, the light that bakes the ground and forces most life to seek shelter. It is a light of great power, but little subtlety. And then, as the afternoon wears on, the entire process reverses itself. The sun begins its descent towards the western horizon. The shadows, which had all but disappeared, are reborn. They begin to stretch out once more, reaching across the desert floor like long, dark fingers. The world regains its depth and texture. The light softens, its harshness mellowing, and the golden hour returns, this time bathing the landscape in the warm, valedictory light of the day's end. The desert, it seems, saves its greatest beauty for the beginning and the ending of the day. The desert sunset is the grand finale. It is often even more spectacular than the sunrise. The dust kicked up by the winds of the day creates a perfect canvas in the atmosphere for the scattering of light. The sky can explode in a symphony of color, from the deepest crimson to the softest lavender. These colors are reflected on the landscape itself, painting the sand dunes pink and the distant mountains a deep royal purple. It is a final, glorious celebration of the light before the coming, of the night's profound darkness. There is a phenomenon of light unique to the desert sunset called alpenglow. After the sun has dipped below the horizon, its last rays, traveling through the upper atmosphere, can still illuminate the peaks of the highest mountains. This causes them to glow with a soft rosy or pinkish light, even as the valleys below are falling into deep shadow. It is a beautiful, ethereal effect, a final, gentle kiss of sunlight on the sleeping giants of the earth. It is a moment of quiet magic, a fleeting blush on the face of the stone. This daily journey of the sun, from the gentle arrival of dawn to the brilliant spectacle of sunset, governs the entire rhythm of the desert. It is the metronome that sets the tempo for life. The flowers that open only at night, the lizards that bask in the morning sun, the animals that wait for the coolness of dusk, all are dancing to the rhythm of this great cycle of light and heat. To spend time in the desert is to become deeply attuned to this rhythm, to feel it in your own body, and to find a sense of peace in its predictable, eternal cadence. The light here does more than just illuminate. It seems to possess a physical quality. You can feel its warmth on your skin, see it shimmering in the air, It seems to cleanse the landscape, to strip it down to its essential forms. The desert is a world of pure geometry, of lines, curves, and angles, all revealed and defined by the stark, unfiltered light. It is a minimalist's dream, a landscape that has been simplified to a state of profound and elegant clarity. There is nothing to hide, nothing to obscure the truth of its form. This intense, defining light is also what gives birth to one of the desert's most famous and enigmatic phenomena, the mirage. It is an illusion, yes, but it is not a hallucination. It is a real, physical event, a trick played by the light and the air themselves. It is born from the extreme temperature difference between the searingly hot ground and the cooler air just a few meters above it. The desert, in its extremity, begins to bend the very fabric of light, creating false images and ghost-like reflections on the horizon. The most common type of mirage is the inferior mirage, which creates the classic illusion of a pool of water in the distance. What is actually happening is that the light from the sky, which would normally travel in a straight line to your eye, is being bent or refracted as it passes through the layer of superheated air near the ground. This hot air is less dense than the cooler air above it, and this change in density acts like a lens. The light from the blue sky is bent upwards, creating an image of the sky that appears to be on the ground. To our brain, which assumes that light always travels in a straight line, this patch of sky on the ground is interpreted as the next best thing, a reflection in water. The shimmering quality of the water is simply the result of turbulence in the hot air, the constant mixing of the hot and cool layers. You are not seeing something that isn't there. You are seeing the sky displaced and shimmering in a place where it doesn't belong. It is a beautiful, natural optical illusion, a piece of atmospheric physics playing out on a grand scale. As you approach a mirage, it will always seem to recede, staying tantalizingly out of reach. This is because the angle of refraction depends on your distance from it. As you move closer, the illusion simply moves further away, forever maintaining its distance. This is what makes it so famously frustrating for thirsty travelers. It is a false promise, a ghost of water born from the very heat and dryness that creates the thirst in the first place. It is one of the desert's great and beautiful ironies. There is another, rarer type of mirage known as a superior mirage, or fata morgana. This happens in reverse, often in polar deserts or over cold ocean water, where a layer of cold air is trapped beneath a layer of warmer air. This temperature inversion bends light in the opposite direction, causing objects on the horizon to appear stretched, elevated, or floating in the air. A distant ship might appear to be hovering above the water, or a far-off mountain range might look like a fantastical floating castle. The mirage is a perfect metaphor for the way the desert can play with our perception. It is a landscape that challenges our senses and forces us to look more closely. It reminds us that our perception of reality is not always absolute, and that the world can be more fluid and mysterious than we often assume. It is not a lie, but a different kind of truth, a poem written in heat and light. It is the desert dreaming of water, and for a moment, making that dream visible to us. The light and heat do not just play tricks on our eyes. They are the primary engines of the desert's geology, working on a timescale that is almost impossible to comprehend. Every rock, every canyon, every grain of sand is a record of this deep, slow time. The desert is a library where the books are mountains and the pages are layers of stone. It is a place where the history of the earth is not hidden beneath soil and vegetation, but is laid bare, exposed for all to see. To look at the wall of a desert canyon is to look back in time. Each layer of rock, each stratum, represents a different era in the planet's history. A layer of sandstone might speak of an ancient desert of wind-blown dunes, millions of years ago. A layer of shale might tell of a time when this same spot was at the bottom of a shallow sea, teeming with life. A dark band of volcanic rock might be the scar left by a cataclysmic eruption. It is a vertical timeline, a history book written in the language of sedimentation and pressure. And within these layers, the desert sometimes holds its deepest secrets. Fossils, the fossilized bones of a dinosaur, the delicate impression of a fern, the trackways of a creature that walked this land when it was a swamp. The dryness of the desert is a great preserver. It slows down the process of decay, allowing these echoes of ancient life to survive for hundreds of millions of years. Each fossil is a tiny miracle, a whisper from a long-vanished world, a tangible connection to the immense and almost unimaginable story of life on Earth. The very processes that shape the desert happen on this grand geological timescale. The wind that erodes a rock formation, grain by grain. The rare flash floods that carve a canyon, inch by inch over millennia. The slow, patient rusting of sand grains that turns a dune from yellow to red. These are processes that are imperceptible on a human timescale. We can only see the results, the accumulated work of millions of years of patient, relentless effort. The desert is a finished sculpture, but the sculptor is still at work. This sense of deep time can have a profound effect on the human mind. Our own lives, our worries, our sense of urgency can seem very small and insignificant when placed against the backdrop of a landscape that is millions of years old. This is not a depressing thought. It can be incredibly liberating. It is a release from the tyranny of the immediate. It allows us to take a deep breath and understand that our own brief moment is part of a much, much larger story. It is a gift of perspective, a quiet reordering of priorities. The desert doesn't rush. It has no deadlines. Its pace is the pace of planetary change, of continental drift, of the slow wearing down of mountains. To be in the desert is to be invited to slow down, to match its rhythm. It encourages a state of mindfulness, of being present in the moment, because the moment is all there is. The past is written in the rock, the future is an unwritten expanse, and the present is the feel of the sun on your skin and the sound of the wind in your ears. Even the ephemeral life of the desert speaks of the steep time. The bristlecone pine trees, which grow on the high, arid mountain slopes of the American Southwest, are among the oldest living organisms on Earth. Some have been alive for nearly 5,000 years. They were ancient when the pyramids were being built. They have stood silent witness to the entire span of recorded human history. Their gnarled, twisted wood is a record of every drought, every hard winter, every passing century. They are living monuments to endurance. And scattered across the desert pavement, one can sometimes find petrified wood. This is wood that has been turned to stone. Over millions of years, a fallen tree was buried by sediment, and the organic material of the wood was slowly replaced, molecule by molecule, with minerals like silica. The result is a perfect fossil replica of the original wood, complete with growth rings and cellular structure, but now made of solid, rainbow-colored quartz. It is a piece of a long-dead forest, transformed by time into a garden of jewels. This immense age is palpable. You can feel it in the air, in the profound stillness. You can sense it in the smoothness of a wind-polished stone, a surface that has been caressed by the wind for 10,000 years. The desert is a place that wears its history on its sleeve. It does not hide its age. It presents it as its most fundamental quality. To be here is to be in the presence of a great and very patient elder. This landscape is not just a record of natural history, but of human history as well. The desert has never been truly empty. For as long as humans have existed, they have found ways to live and travel here. The traces they left behind are often subtle, quiet echoes in the great silence. Ancient pathways, barely visible on the stony ground, mark the routes that people walked for thousands of years, connecting oases and sacred sites. They are desire lines, written on the face of the earth by the simple act of walking. In the shelter of cliffs and rock overhangs, one can find the art of these ancient peoples. Petroglyphs, images chipped into the dark desert varnish of the rock surface, and pictographs, images painted onto the stone with natural pigments. They depict animals, human figures, and cryptic symbols whose meanings are now lost to time. They are silent messages from a distant past, a fragile and beautiful record of a human mind trying to make sense of its world and leave its mark upon it. The desert was not always a barrier. For many cultures, it was a highway. The great caravan routes of the Silk Road and the trans-Saharan trade routes crossed some of the most formidable deserts on Earth. For centuries, long lines of camels, the ships of the desert, carried silk, spices, salt, and knowledge from one civilization to another. The desert was the space that connected worlds, and the stories and ideas exchanged in the firelight of the caravanserais were as valuable as the goods they carried. The ruins of the great cities and stopping points along these routes still stand in many places. Cities like Petra, carved from the red sandstone cliffs of Jordan, or the abandoned oasis towns of the Taklamakan Desert. Their silent, crumbling walls speak of a time of great wealth and cultural exchange. Now, the wind whistles through their empty courtyards, and the sand slowly buries their fallen columns. They are monuments to human ambition, but also to the ultimate power of the desert to endure and eventually to reclaim everything. In more recent history, the desert is littered with the ghosts of failed ambitions. Ghost towns from brief mining booms, abandoned homesteads, rusting cars sinking slowly into the sand. These are not ancient ruins, but their story is the same. They are the remnants of dreams that were broken by the harsh reality of the desert's rules. They stand as cautionary tales, quiet reminders that the desert can be a partner, but it cannot be conquered. It always has the final say. To wander through these silent places, whether an ancient ruin or a modern ghost town, is to feel a deep sense of melancholy and peace. There is no judgment here. There is only the quiet, impartial work of time and the elements. The structures are slowly being unmade, returned to their component parts, their dust destined to become part of a new dune or a new layer of sediment. It is the great cycle of creation and decay, happening in the slowest of motions. The human relationship with the desert has always been one of duality. It has been seen as a place of exile and hardship, a wasteland to be endured or crossed as quickly as possible. But it has also been revered as a place of purity, of spiritual testing, and of revelation. Many of the world's great religions have foundational stories that take place in the desert. It is the landscape of prophets, a place where the distractions of the world fall away, leaving only the self and the infinite. The desert's physical emptiness seems to create a space for spiritual fullness. By stripping away the non-essential, it forces a confrontation with the fundamental questions of existence. The great silence of the landscape allows one to hear the quiet voice within. It is no coincidence that the traditions of monasticism and solitary meditation have often sought out the desert. It is a place that is naturally conducive to introspection, a place to find clarity far from the noise of civilization. There is a certain kind of beauty that is unique to the desert. It is not the lush, easy beauty of a forest or a meadow. It is a sterner, more subtle beauty. It is the beauty of resilience, of form, stripped to its essence. It is found in the elegant curve of a dune, the intricate pattern of a cracked mud flat, the gnarled grace of a bristlecone pine, and the deep, abiding color of a sandstone canyon. It is a beauty that asks you to slow down, to look closely, and to appreciate the profound artistry of the earth itself. This landscape teaches a different kind of aesthetics. It teaches us to find beauty in simplicity, in muted colors, and in vast, open spaces. It challenges our conventional ideas of what makes a landscape valuable. The desert is not productive in an agricultural sense, but its value is immense. It is a reservoir of silence, a sanctuary of deep time, and a crucial part of the Earth's climatic system. Its worth cannot be measured in bushels per acre, but in the sense of peace and perspective it provides. Many deserts are, surprisingly, incredibly fragile ecosystems. The thin crust of soil, held together by microscopic organisms, can take centuries to form and can be destroyed by a single footstep or tire track. The tracks left by vehicles can persist for decades or even centuries as dark scars on the landscape. The desert's slow pace of change means that it also has a slow pace of healing. It is a strong and powerful place, but it is not invulnerable. It requires our respect and our care. As we continue our journey tonight, let the qualities of the desert seep into your awareness. Let its vastness expand your mind, letting go of small, constricted thoughts. Let its silence quiet the noise within you. And let its deep, patient sense of time soothe any feelings of urgency or anxiety. You can be as still and as quiet as a desert rock at midnight, and as peaceful as the vast, star-filled sky above it. There is nothing for you to do but rest. The desert is a paradox. It is a land of endless silence that speaks volumes. It is a land of seeming emptiness that is full of secret life. It is a land shaped by the absence of water and by its violent, fleeting presence. It is a landscape that is simultaneously harsh and fragile, simple and infinitely complex. To embrace these paradoxes is to begin to understand the desert's true nature. It is a place that resists easy definition, a place that is best understood not with the intellect, but with the senses and the heart. Imagine yourself now, resting comfortably in a quiet, sheltered place in this vast desert. The air is cool and still. The stars are burning with a clear, steady light above you. The great, ancient land is breathing slowly all around you. You are safe. You are held by the immense peace of this place. The silence is a soft, warm blanket. Allow it to cover you completely, to soothe your mind and relax your body. Let go of the day and drift on this river of quiet. Each breath you take is slow and deep. With each inhalation, you breathe in the calm, clean air of the desert night. And with each exhalation, you release any remaining tension, letting it dissolve into the vast, open space around you. Your body feels heavy and relaxed, sinking gently into the surface that supports you. Your mind is quiet and still, as clear and open as the desert sky. You are drifting now, comfortably, peacefully, towards a deep and restorative sleep. The desert holds the memory of all the days and nights that have ever been. It holds the silence of millennia. And tonight, it holds you. It asks for nothing. It simply offers its profound stillness as a gift. It is a place where you can finally let go, where you can be quiet, and where you can rest. Allow yourself to accept this gift. Allow yourself to be cradled by the deep, patient, and endless silence of the desert. Let us now allow our drifting thoughts to travel to a specific place, to the greatest desert of them all. The name itself is almost synonymous with the very idea of a desert. We are going to the Sahara. The name is derived from the Arabic word for desert, Sahara, so to say the Sahara Desert is simply to say the desert. It is a name that speaks of an absolute, an archetype. It is a landscape so vast and so definitive that it requires no other qualifier. It is a place that feels less like a part of a continent and more like a continent unto itself, a third hemisphere of sand and rock. The scale of the Sahara is difficult for the human mind to truly grasp. It stretches over 9 million square kilometers, covering a huge portion of North Africa. It is nearly the size of the entire United States, or of China. One could wander for a lifetime within its borders and see only a fraction of its varied terrains. It is a kingdom of immense distances and profound emptiness. To be within it is to understand the true size of our planet and to feel the quiet humility that comes from being a tiny conscious speck in a world of geological indifference and grandeur. While we imagine the Sahara as an endless sea of sand, the great ergs, the sand seas, make up only about 25% of its surface. The majority of the Sahara is a rocky, stony plateau known as Hamada. This is the great desert pavement we spoke of earlier, a hard, flat surface of interlocking stones, swept clean by the wind for millennia. It is a landscape of stark, horizontal beauty, where the sky feels impossibly large and the ground feels ancient and firm. It is a world reduced to two elements, the baked earth below and the infinite, cloudless sky above. But there are also great mountain ranges that rise from the heart of the Sahara, like islands in a sea of heat, the Hogar Mountains in Algeria, or the Tibesti Mountains in Chad. These are ancient volcanic massifs. They're dark, jagged peaks reaching for the sky. They are a different world within the desert. Here, the altitude brings cooler temperatures, and the mountains can catch what little moisture there is in the air, allowing for a surprising amount of life to cling to their slopes. They are sanctuaries of stone, silent, brooding, and immeasurably old. In these mountains, hidden in sheltered canyons, is a spectacular gallery of prehistoric art. The rock paintings and engravings of the Tassili Najar Plateau depict a world that is now unimaginable. They show herds of cattle, giraffes, elephants, and scenes of people swimming in rivers. This art is a ghostly echo from a time, thousands of years ago, when the Sahara was not a desert, but a green and vibrant savanna. It is a poignant, silent reminder that even the most permanent-seeming landscapes are in a state of slow, constant flux. The desert was once a garden, and it holds the memory of that time in its stone. For centuries, the Sahara was navigated by the Tuareg people, the legendary blue men of the desert, named for the indigo-dyed veils worn by the men. They were masters of this environment, reading the stars, the shape of the dunes, and the subtle signs of the landscape to guide their salt caravans across the vast emptiness. Their culture is one of profound resilience, independence, and a deep poetic connection to the desert. To them, the desert was not an obstacle, but a home, a place of freedom, whose silent language they understood perfectly. Let us leave the great expanse of the Sahara and travel south, to the coast of southwestern Africa. Here we find a desert that is ancient, perhaps the oldest in the world, the Namib. The name means vast place, and its character is shaped by a unique and powerful combination of forces. It is a world of towering red dunes that meet the cold, churning waters of the Atlantic Ocean. It is a place where two immense and seemingly opposite natural forces, a desert and an ocean, exist side by side in a state of strange and beautiful harmony. The dunes of the Namib are among the highest in the world, some reaching over 300 meters, and their color is a deep, fiery brick red. This intense coloration, as we know, comes from the oxidation of iron particles in the sand, and it is a sign of immense age. The sand of the Namib has been rusting for millions of years, exposed to the air. This desert wears its age as its most prominent feature. To look upon these dunes is to see a landscape that has been slowly, patiently blushing for an almost eternal length of time. The cold Benguela current, which flows up from Antarctica along the African coast, is the key to the Namib's unique climate. The cold ocean water cools the air directly above it, creating a thick, dense fog. This fog, a silent, ghostly presence, is pushed inland by the daily winds, often penetrating 50 kilometers into the desert. It is the lifeblood of the Namib. In a place that receives almost no rain, this fog is the primary source of water, a daily gift from the cold sea to the thirsty land. In the heart of the Namib lies a place of surreal and haunting beauty, Deadvley, the Dead Marsh. It is a white clay pan, a dried-up ancient oasis nestled among the towering red dunes. Scattered across its pale, cracked floor are the skeletal remains of camel thorn trees. They are not petrified, but simply desiccated, scorched black by the sun. They died some 900 years ago when the climate shifted and the river that fed them disappeared. The air is so dry that they have not decayed. They stand today as they did centuries ago, dark, twisted sculptures against the white earth and the red dunes, a silent monument to climate change. This stretch of coastline, where the desert meets the sea, is famously known as the Skeleton Coast. It is named for the whale and seal bones that once littered the shore, but also for the countless shipwrecks that have met their end here. The treacherous currents, the shifting sandbanks, and the thick, disorienting fog have made it one of the most dangerous coastlines in the world. The rusting, skeletal hulls of wrecked ships lie half buried in the sand, slowly being consumed by the wind and the salt spray, modern ruins in an ancient land. And now let us cross an ocean to South America, to a desert that takes aridity to its absolute extreme, the Atacama Desert, a long, narrow strip of land west of the Andes Mountains in Chile and Peru. This is officially the driest non-polar desert in the world. Some weather stations here have never recorded a single drop of rain. It is a landscape that is so dry, so utterly deprived of water, that it is often used by scientists as a terrestrial analog for the surface of the planet Mars. The extreme aridity of the Atacama is the result of a perfect storm of geographical factors. It lies in the rain shadow of the mighty Andes Mountains to the east, which block any moisture from the Amazon basin. To the west, the cold Humboldt Current in the Pacific Ocean creates a coastal inversion layer, preventing rain-forming clouds from developing, much like the Benguela Current in the Namib. It is trapped in a double rain shadow, a geographical pincer movement that has squeezed almost every last molecule of moisture from its air. In this hyper-arid environment, life is almost non-existent in many areas. The soil is so sterile and depleted of organic matter that scientists have struggled to find any trace of microbes in some soil samples. It is as close to a completely sterile, natural environment as can be found on Earth. And yet, this seeming emptiness is a scientific treasure trove. It allows for the perfect preservation of anything left upon its surface, from the oldest unembalmed mummies in the world to pristine meteorite fragments that have fallen from the sky. A part of the Atacama is known as the Valle de la Luna, the Valley of the Moon. The name is perfectly chosen. Here, centuries of wind and water erosion from floods that happened millennia ago have carved the salt, clay, and sand into a breathtaking landscape of bizarre and beautiful formations. The ground is crusted with salt that crunches underfoot, and the colors of the rock formations shift from pink to deep purple as the sun sets. It is a place that truly feels alien, a landscape sculpted by forces that seem to belong to another world. And because the Atacama is not only the driest desert, but also one of the highest, sitting on a high plateau, its sky is legendarily clear. The combination of high altitude and extreme lack of humidity makes it the best place on the planet for observational astronomy. This is why the plateaus are home to some of the world's most advanced observatories, like the ALMA array. Here, enormous radio telescopes stare, unblinking, into the cosmic silence, listening for the faint whispers from the birth of stars and galaxies, using one silent place to study another. From the hot deserts of the subtropics, our journey must now take a dramatic turn. We must redefine our very notion of what a desert is. We travel now to the coldest, highest, and windiest continent on Earth. We are going to Antarctica. For this entire continent, a landmass larger than Europe is, by definition, a desert. It is the largest desert in the world. Its dryness is not a function of heat and evaporation, but of profound, unyielding cold. The air in Antarctica is so cold that it simply cannot hold significant moisture. It is locked in a permanent state of dryness. Annual precipitation, which falls almost exclusively as snow, is less than 200 millimeters over most of the continent, and far less in the interior. It is the simple definition of a desert. But here, the precipitation does not evaporate. It accumulates. Over millions of years, these tiny annual snowfalls have been compressed by their own weight into the colossal ice sheet that covers the continent, in some places nearly 5 kilometers thick. While most of Antarctica is covered by this ice, there is a remarkable exception: the McMurdo Dry Valleys. These are a series of valleys that are, paradoxically, almost entirely free of ice and snow. They are one of the most extreme desert environments on Earth. They are kept dry by katabatic winds, incredibly powerful and dense winds that are cooled over the high polar plateau and then flow downhill, pulled by gravity. These winds can reach speeds of 300 kilometers per hour, and they heat up as they descend, evaporating any ice or snow in their path. The dry valleys are a strange, frozen, and silent world. The ground is a barren pavement of gravel and larger rocks. Mummified seals, hundreds of years old, can be found far inland. Creatures that lost their way and were perfectly preserved by the cold, dry air. There are lakes with a salinity many times that of the ocean, which remain liquid even at temperatures far below freezing. And there is a feature known as blood falls, where iron-rich saline water from a subglacial lake seeps out, staining the ice a deep, shocking red. It is a landscape of profound geological and biological wonders. Life here exists at the very edge of possibility. There are no plants, no animals in the conventional sense. The ecosystem is almost entirely microbial. Tiny organisms, called endoliths, live inside the microscopic pores of the rocks themselves, eking out an existence in one of the most hostile environments on our planet. They are the last outpost of life, a testament to its tenacity. The dry valleys, like the Atacama, are another place where scientists come to study the potential for life on other planets, like Mars or the icy moons of Jupiter. So a desert can be a sea of hot, red sand meeting a foggy ocean. It can be a high, sterile plateau that mirrors the surface of another planet. And it can be a frozen, windswept valley at the bottom of the world. What unites these disparate places? It is not heat, it is not sand. It is the simple, powerful, and landscape-defining scarcity of water. And with that scarcity comes the other unifying quality that we have been exploring tonight. A profound and enveloping silence. This silence is not merely an absence of noise. It is a positive, tangible presence. In our modern world, true silence is a rare and precious resource. We are constantly surrounded by sound, by the hum of machinery, the flow of traffic, the chatter of voices and media. Our minds are rarely given a moment of true, uncluttered quiet. The desert provides a sanctuary from this endless noise. It offers a sonic landscape that is so pure and so minimal that it allows our auditory system and our minds to finally rest. To experience this silence is to notice things you would otherwise miss. You begin to hear the sound of your own heartbeat, a steady, quiet drum. You can hear the blood rushing in your ears. You become aware of the gentle sound of your own breathing. These are the fundamental sounds of being alive, and they are usually drowned out. In the desert's quiet, you are reintroduced to the gentle, internal orchestra of your own body, a soundscape that is always with you, but rarely heard. And you begin to notice the quiet sounds of the desert itself, the sound of a single lizard skittering over a rock, the whisper of a million grains of sand cascading down the slip face of a dune, the almost imperceptible hum of an insect's wings. These are tiny, delicate sounds that would be lost in any other environment. In the desert, they are amplified by the silence around them. They become significant events in a world of quiet. The silence teaches you a new way of listening, a more focused and more appreciative way of hearing the world. This quiet has a deep and restorative effect on the human nervous system. The constant barrage of noise in our daily lives keeps us in a state of low-level stress and alertness. When that stimulus is removed, our bodies can finally switch from a fight-or-flight mode to a rest and digest mode. Our heart rate slows, our breathing deepens, and our muscles relax. The silence of the desert is not just psychologically peaceful, it is physically healing. It is a form of deep, natural therapy for a world that has forgotten the value of quiet. And in that quiet, the mind begins to change its own patterns. Without constant external input to react to, the mind can turn inward. Thoughts that were buried under the clutter of daily life can rise to the surface. It can be a space for deep reflection, for problem solving, or simply for being. In the desert's silence, your own thoughts can become clearer, less frantic. The mental chatter can begin to subside, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. It is a landscape that encourages meditation, whether you intend to practice it or not. There is a beauty and a comfort in this shared experience of silence. To be with another person in the desert and to sit together without the need to speak is a profound form of connection. You are both held by the same immense quiet, both looking out at the same vast landscape, both listening to the same gentle sounds of the wind. The silence itself becomes the conversation. It is a shared understanding that transcends words, a communion in the great, quiet cathedral of the arid lands. The desert is one of the last great sanctuaries of this natural quiet on our planet. As our world becomes ever more developed and ever more noisy, these silent places become increasingly important. They are not wastelands to be exploited or ignored. They are vital reserves of peace. They are places we can go, either in person or in our imagination, to recalibrate our senses, to quiet our minds, and to reconnect with a slower, deeper, more ancient rhythm of existence. They are an antidote to the frantic pace of modern life. And so the desert is defined not just by what it lacks, water, life, vegetation, but by what it possesses in abundance: space, light, time, and silence. These are not empty concepts. They are powerful, active forces that shape the land and the mind in equal measure. The desert is a presence, not an absence. It is a full and resonant emptiness, a silence that is rich with meaning and with peace. It is a landscape that asks us to simply be still, to listen, and to feel the quiet, steady pulse of the planet itself. We have traveled far tonight, across burning sands and frozen plains, from the heart of Africa to the bottom of the world. We have seen how the impartial laws of physics, the turning of the planet, the rise of mountains, the circulation of the oceans and the air, conspire to create these vast lands of endless silence. We have seen how life, in its incredible tenacity, has found ingenious ways to not just survive, but to thrive in these extreme environments. And we have felt the deep, restorative power of their quiet. These places can seem alien, otherworldly, and remote from our daily lives, and in many ways they are. But they are also an integral part of our world. The dust from the Sahara fertilizes the Amazon rainforest. The cold currents that create coastal deserts regulate global ocean temperatures. These arid lands are not separate from the rest of the world. They are a vital and interconnected part of the great, complex, and beautiful system that is our planetary home. They are the dry, quiet counterpart to the wet, noisy parts of our world. The desert also exists as a powerful landscape within our own minds. There are times in our lives that can feel like a desert crossing, times of difficulty, of loneliness, or of scarcity. But the lessons of the real desert can be a source of comfort. They teach us of the power of resilience, of the importance of conserving our energy, and of the wisdom of adapting to circumstances rather than fighting against them. They remind us that even in the driest of times, there are hidden sources of water, hidden reserves of strength deep within us. And they teach us that these dry periods are often followed by a superbloom, a sudden and spectacular eruption of life, color, and joy. The desert reminds us that periods of quiet dormancy are not empty or wasted. They are times of preparation, of waiting for the right conditions to flourish. It teaches a deep and abiding patience, a trust in the cycles of life, and a faith that the rains, metaphorical or real, will eventually come again. The silence is not an end. It is a period of rest before the next chapter begins. As our journey comes to a close, allow the essence of these quiet lands to settle deep within your being. Carry with you the vastness of the desert sky, a sense of boundless, open space for your mind to rest in. Carry with you the deep, geological time of the canyons and the dunes, a perspective that can soothe the urgency of the present moment. And most of all, carry with you the profound, healing power of the desert silence. Let it be a sanctuary you can return to in your mind, whenever you need to find a moment of peace. Let my voice now begin to fade, just as the last light of sunset fades from the highest peaks of the desert mountains. The story is told. The journey is complete. What remains is the silence itself. and the gentle space it creates for you to drift into a deep and peaceful sleep. Let the narrative dissolve and simply rest in the feelings it has evoked: calm, peace, spaciousness, and a sense of connection to our quiet and ancient planet. Your breathing is now slow and regular, a gentle tide rising and falling. Your body is heavy, comfortable, and completely at rest. Your mind is clear and still, like a desert pool reflecting the calm, dark sky. There are no more places to travel to, nothing more to learn. There is only the simple, peaceful reality of this present moment. You are here, you are safe, and you are ready for sleep. Let go now and allow the gentle current to carry you away. The desert is now settling into the deep cold of the night. The nocturnal creatures are moving silently through the shadows. The ancient rocks are releasing the last of the day's warmth into the vast, clear air. The stars are wheeling slowly overhead in their eternal, silent procession. The entire landscape is at peace, and you can share in that peace. You are a part of this great, quiet, sleeping world. Allow yourself to sleep with it. Imagine the silence of the Sahara, a silence so vast it feels like the humming of the earth itself. Let that deep, resonant quiet fill your mind. Imagine the cool, moist silence of the Namib fog, a soft, muffling blanket that soothes and calms. Let that gentle quiet settle over your body. Imagine the high, thin silence of the Atacama, a crystalline quiet that clarifies and purifies the thoughts. Let that pure silence bring peace to your spirit. The great work of the desert is to be still. It is an act of profound, active patience. It waits for the rain, it waits for the wind, it waits for the sun to rise and set. It is the master of waiting. And now you too can master this simple art. You can be still and wait for sleep to arrive. There is no need to chase it. It will come to you, gently, like the cool of the evening arriving in the desert, a welcome and natural release. Every grain of sand on every dune in the world is at rest right now. Every ancient stone is sleeping in its place. The whole arid world is sinking into a state of deep geological repose. You can join in this planetary rest. You can let every muscle in your body release, every thought in your mind soften. You can become as still and as peaceful as the sleeping desert. Let the great silence hold you and guide you gently into your dreams. The journey is over, but the peace remains. The stories and images may fade, but the feeling of calm they have cultivated can stay with you as you drift off. This feeling is yours to keep. It is the gift of the quiet places, a reminder of the peace that is always available, both in the world and within yourself. Settle into that peace now. Let it be the foundation upon which your restful sleep is built. The endless silence of the desert is not an emptiness to be feared, but a fullness to be embraced. It is full of peace, full of time, full of the quiet, steady presence of the earth. Allow this fullness to fill you, to crowd out any lingering worries or concerns. There is no room for them anymore. There is only room for this profound and simple peace. Rest in this fullness. Rest in this quiet. Your mind is now as open and uncluttered as the great desert pavement. Your thoughts, if they come at all, are like single, slow-moving clouds in a vast sky. You can watch them drift by without attachment, without needing to follow them. They are just passing phenomena in the great, clear space of your awareness. And soon, even they will fade, leaving only the pure, clear sky of deep and peaceful sleep. Let go of the weight of your body. Let go of the activity of your mind. Let go of the story of your day. Let it all dissolve into the great, quiet expanse of the desert night. You are now just peaceful awareness, floating gently in a sea of tranquility. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold on to. There is only the gentle downward drift into the deepest levels of rest. The desert is dreaming under the stars. It dreams of ancient seas and green savannas. It dreams of future rains and shifting sands. Its dreams move at the pace of geology, slow, deep, and profound. and you too can now enter the world of dreams, a world where time is fluid and the mind is free. May your dreams be as peaceful and as beautiful as a silent desert night. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the lands of endless silence. I hope it has brought you a measure of peace and has helped to quiet your mind. It is always an honor to be your guide on these sleepy explorations of our beautiful and wondrous world. May your rest be deep and your dreams be sweet. The great, quiet presence of the desert will be here, waiting for you. Whenever you need to return, it is an eternal sanctuary of peace. But for now, your journey is complete. It is time to rest. It is time to let go completely. It is time for sleep. Allow the last of my words to be the final soft breeze that carries you over the threshold into deep sleep. Let the silence that follows be a comfortable and welcoming space. Sleep well. Good night. And so, you continue to drift in this place of profound peace. The echo of our journey resonates gently in the quiet of your mind. We have walked together across the sun-baked hamada of the Sahara, feeling the ancient, patient heat radiating from the stones. We have felt the immense scale of that golden, silent world and allowed its vastness to quiet our own thoughts. This memory of immense space is now a part of your peace, a boundless inner landscape in which you can completely and utterly relax, letting every worry become as small as a single grain of sand. We stood on the Skeleton Coast, where the towering red dunes of the Namib meet the cold Atlantic. We watched the thick, silent fog roll in, a ghostly river of moisture bringing life to the oldest desert on Earth. We felt the strange and beautiful paradox of that place. A world born of fire and water, of heat and cold. That memory of gentle, cooling mist can now soothe you like a soft, damp cloth on a weary brow. It is a memory of gentle release, of a softness that can permeate even the hardest and driest of places. We climbed to the high, thin air of the Atacama, the driest place on our planet. We stood in its moon-like valleys and gazed up at a sky of impossible clarity, a perfect window into the cosmos. We felt the crystalline silence of that high plateau, a silence so pure it seemed to polish the stars themselves. This memory of clarity is now yours. Your mind can be as clear and as still as the Atacama sky, with every thought a distant, steady star, beautiful to observe but too far away to disturb your peace. And we traveled to the bottom of the world, to the great polar desert of Antarctica. We felt the profound, cleansing cold of the dry valleys, where the wind scours the land clean and life persists in the most hidden of places. We learned that a desert can be made of ice and that silence can be born from the deepest of freezes. This memory of pure, clean cold can now wash over you, freezing any lingering anxieties, leaving behind only a state of pristine, crystalline stillness. You are now in that place of absolute, untroubled calm. These memories are not just images. They are feelings. They are states of being that you have touched upon. The heat, the coolness, the clarity, the cold, they are all facets of the great, multifaceted jewel of silence. You can now hold this jewel in the palm of your awareness. It is heavy with the peace of millennia. It is smooth with the patient work of the wind and time. It is a talisman of tranquility, a solid, tangible piece of the planet's own deep rest, which you can now make your own as you drift ever deeper. The desert taught us the art of letting go. It lets go of its heat each night, radiating it into the endlessness of space. The dunes let go of their sand grains at the crest, allowing them to tumble down and reform. The dry riverbeds let go of the flash flood's water, allowing it to sink deep into the earth. The desert does not cling. It is in a constant state of release. You, too, can master this gentle art. You can release the day. You can release your thoughts. You can release the need to be awake, letting it all go into the vast, accepting quiet. The desert taught us about the beauty of what is not there. The beauty of a cloudless sky, of a leafless tree, of a silent landscape. We learned that emptiness is not a lack, but a space. A space for light to play, a space for the mind to expand, a space for peace to grow. Your mind is now that beautiful, empty space. It is not cluttered with the furniture of worry. It is open, vast, and ready to be filled with the deep, quiet peace of restorative sleep. There is nothing but serene, open space. And the desert taught us about time. It taught us that our own human sense of time is just one flickering moment in a story that is billions of years long. This perspective is a profound comfort. It allows us to step back from the frantic ticking of our own small clocks and feel the slow, deep, and steady pulse of geological time. Your own heartbeat can now slow to match this ancient planetary rhythm. A slow, steady, and deeply relaxing beat that carries you gently toward the shores of sleep and dreams. The silence we have been exploring is now your own. It is no longer a concept or a place we have visited in our imagination. It has become your reality in this moment. It is the silence of your room, the silence between each of my words, the growing silence in your own mind. It is a warm, comfortable, and safe silence. It is a healing presence, a gentle friend who has come to sit with you as you fall asleep. Welcome this friend. Rest in its quiet, unwavering company. You have been a wonderful traveling companion on this journey. You have been patient, open, and receptive. You have allowed these images and ideas to wash over you, and now the journey's purpose is fulfilled. The geography was simply a pathway to this place of deep relaxation. The stories were just a gentle lullaby to soothe your conscious mind. The true destination was always this, the precipice of a deep and wonderful sleep. And you have arrived. You are here now. It is time to rest. The silence of the desert is the silence of profound self-acceptance. The desert does not wish it were a forest. It does not apologize for its dryness or its heat. It simply is. It exists in a state of perfect, uncomplicated being. You, too, can rest in this state of simple being. There is nothing you need to change, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to be, other than what you are right now. A person at rest, deserving of peace. Allow yourself to simply be, without judgment, without effort. This quiet is a deep underground river. Throughout the day, the noise of the world is like a storm on the surface, churning the water. But deep below, the current is always slow, steady, and silent. As you relax, you are simply sinking beneath the surface noise, down into your own deep, internal river of peace that is always there. You can feel its cool, calm current gently carrying you now. There is no need to swim. You can just float. It will carry you exactly where you need to go. Every breath is a wave, washing away any last vestiges of tension. Breathe in the cool, clean air of the desert night. Feel it fill your lungs, bringing a sense of calm and spaciousness. And as you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out a soft gray mist. And with it goes any lingering thought, any tiny muscle tension, any echo of the day. Each breath leaves you clearer, calmer, and more deeply relaxed. Just the simple, gentle rhythm of breathing. In and out, a slow, peaceful tide. Your body is now as heavy and still as the ancient bedrock beneath the shifting sands. It is solid, grounded, and completely supported. Feel this sense of groundedness. Feel the pull of gravity as a comforting, reassuring embrace, holding you securely. You do not need to hold yourself up. You can let go completely and trust that you will be held. This complete release of physical effort allows your mind to release as well. It is safe to let go. It is safe to drift. Your mind is now like a vast, empty dune field at twilight. The winds of thought have died down. The surface is smooth and peaceful. If a thought appears, it is like a single faint star in the darkening sky. It is beautiful, but it is distant. It does not disturb the immense peace of the landscape. You are the silent observer of this vast, quiet inner world, a world that is calm, serene, and ready for the deep darkness of the night. Let the darkness behind your closed eyes become a welcoming space. It is not an empty blackness, but a soft, velvety darkness. It is like the deep, starless shadow in the lee of a giant sand dune. It is a place of shelter, of protection, of absolute quiet. You can retreat into this gentle darkness. It is a sanctuary where the world cannot reach you. It is the antechamber of sleep, a quiet room where you can wait in perfect peace for your dreams to arrive. The world can wait. The responsibilities, the plans, the memories, they can all wait until morning. For now, your only responsibility is to rest. You have permission to be completely unavailable to the world. You can switch off the part of your mind that plans and worries. You can let the silent, sleeping part of yourself take over. It knows how to rest. It knows how to heal. Trust it. Let it do its quiet, essential work. Feel a sense of deep gratitude for this moment of peace. Gratitude for your body, which has carried you through the day and is now ready for its rest. Gratitude for your mind, which is learning to be quiet. Gratitude for this safe, comfortable place where you can sleep. This gentle feeling of gratitude is like a warm, soft light in your heart, a comforting glow that can illuminate your gentle passage into the world of dreams. It is the final, peaceful thought of the day. You are on the very edge of sleep now. You might be floating in that wonderful, hazy space between wakefulness and dream. My voice may seem very far away, and the words may not form clear thoughts anymore. That is perfectly fine. Let them become just a gentle, meaningless sound, a low, quiet hum that reassures you that all is well. Just a calming vibration in the deep, peaceful silence that now surrounds you and fills you. The journey is over. The silence is complete. Rest now, drift now, sleep now. Let the great, quiet stillness of the desert be your final companion as you let go completely. The world is quiet, your mind is quiet, your body is at peace. There's nothing but this deep, comfortable, and all-encompassing calm. It is time to sleep. It is time to rest deeply. Drifting down, deeper and deeper, into a soft and welcoming quiet. The cares of the day are like dust motes, settling now in the still air. All is quiet. All is calm. All is well. You are sinking gently into a profound state of rest. A rest that is as deep and as ancient as the desert bedrock. A peace that is as vast as the desert sky. Let yourself go. Let yourself be carried by this gentle downward current. Your breathing is the only anchor now, a slow, steady, gentle rhythm. In and out. Each breath takes you deeper. Each breath makes you heavier. Each breath is a soft step down, into the valley of sleep. Follow your breathing. Let it be your quiet guide into the land of dreams. It is an old, familiar friend, a rhythm that has been with you all your life, and it knows the way. Just follow its gentle, soothing lead. The silence is a soft blanket. It covers you completely. It is warm and safe and comfortable. You can feel its gentle weight, a reassuring presence that helps you to let go even more. Nothing can disturb you here, beneath this blanket of profound quiet. You are perfectly safe. You are perfectly at peace. You are ready to sleep for a long, long time, and to wake up feeling refreshed and restored. Imagine all the tension in your body is a tightly coiled rope, and now, with each slow exhale, you can feel that rope beginning to unwind. From your toes, up through your legs, your back, your shoulders, your neck. The coils are loosening, softening, releasing. And now, the rope is just a straight, soft line. There is no tension left, just a feeling of profound looseness, of deep physical peace. from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. You are floating now in a warm, dark, and silent space. It is the space between thoughts. It is the space between breaths. It is the space between worlds. It is the space of pure, untroubled rest. You can float here for as long as you need. There is no time here. There is no effort here. There is only the gentle, buoyant feeling of being completely and utterly held by a sea of tranquility. Let my voice be the last, distant echo in a vast canyon. It bounces off the ancient walls and grows fainter and fainter until it is absorbed completely by the stone and the silence. And all that is left is the deep, resonant hum of the earth itself. Listen to that hum. Feel that vibration. It is the sound of pure peace. It is the sound of the world sleeping. And you are sleeping with it. The stars above the desert are silent. The dunes below are silent. The ancient stones are silent. And now, your mind is silent. You have arrived at the destination. The land of endless silence is within you now. It is your natural state of rest. Settle into it. Make it your home for the night. And rest here, peacefully, until the morning light returns. Heavy. Your limbs are so very heavy and relaxed. Your eyelids are heavy. It feels so good to let them be closed. It feels so good to be still. It feels so good to rest. Allow this feeling of pleasant heaviness to be the final anchor that holds you in this place of deep, restorative sleep. A wonderful sinking feeling, sinking into perfect, peaceful rest. Peace, deep, quiet, peace. Let this one word be the only thing that remains. Peace. A feeling of profound and unconditional peace. It fills your body, it fills your mind, it fills your room. There is only peace now. A vast, silent ocean of it. And you are floating gently in its calm, warm center. Peace. The story is over. The voice is fading. The silence is here. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep well. The desert is dreaming. And so are you. Rest in the quiet heart of the world. Good night. Drifting so peacefully, your journey is complete. The silence is now yours to enjoy. Every muscle is relaxed. Every thought has softened. You are now resting in a place of deep stillness, a quiet harbor where the waters are calm and the sky is clear. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. You have arrived in the peaceful land of deep rest. Let the quiet around you be a comforting presence. It is a soft cushion for your mind to rest upon. It asks nothing of you. It simply offers a space for you to be completely at ease. Feel the gentle embrace of this stillness. Let it hold you as you drift further and further into a state of profound and wonderful sleep. All is well. Everything is at peace. Your mind is now like the surface of a deep desert pool at midnight. It is dark, still, and perfectly reflective. It reflects only the quiet darkness above it. There are no thoughts to cause a ripple, just a perfect, unbroken surface of calm. This is your natural state of peace. Rest in this profound clarity and stillness. Every breath is a quiet step deeper into tranquility. You are walking down a soft, sandy path into a valley of dreams. With each slow, gentle breath, you move further into this peaceful place. The air is cool, the silence is complete. You are safe and sound on your journey into a night of deep, healing sleep. Just follow the path of your breath. You can feel the last vestiges of the day melting away, like frost in the morning sun. Any remaining tension, any lingering worries, are simply dissolving into the warmth of your relaxation. You are becoming lighter, freer. Your spirit is untethered, ready to float on the gentle currents of your dreams. Let it all melt away. The world is sleeping. The trees are sleeping. The mountains are sleeping. The great desert itself is sleeping under a blanket of stars. You are part of this great planetary rest. You are in harmony with the quiet, sleeping earth. Allow yourself to join in this universal chorus of slumber. You are not alone in your rest. The whole world is resting with you. Let the darkness be your friend. It is a quiet, gentle space where your body can heal and your mind can dream. It is a place of renewal. Embrace the deep, comfortable darkness behind your eyelids. It is the fertile soil from which a refreshed and energized morning will eventually grow. Rest in this dark, quiet, and peaceful garden. The soft rhythm of your heart is a gentle lullaby, a steady beat that reassures you that all is well. It is the quiet drum of life, a sound you have known since before you were born. Let this familiar, comforting rhythm be the music that accompanies you into a deep and peaceful sleep. It is the song of your own quiet existence. You are now completely and utterly at peace. A deep, unshakable peace that permeates every cell of your being. It is a peace that is as solid as ancient stone and as boundless as the desert sky. This peace is your true nature. You are simply returning home to it for the night. Rest well in your home of perfect tranquility. Floating, drifting, dreaming. The boundary between wakefulness and sleep has dissolved. You are now crossing over into the world of dreams. May your dreams be gentle, your rest be deep, and your peace be absolute. The journey is complete. The silence is perfect. Sleep now. So quiet now, so very peaceful, just the gentle feeling of rest. Deeper and deeper, no effort, just letting go. The silence is a soft, warm ocean, and you are floating in its gentle, peaceful depths. Nothing to do, nothing to think, only rest. Rest, a simple word, a simple feeling. Let your entire being be filled with this one idea. Rest. Your body is resting, your mind is resting, your heart is resting. You are completely immersed in a state of profound, healing rest. There is nothing else but this deep, comfortable, and necessary state of being. Sleep. A gentle invitation. A welcome release. Allow yourself to accept this invitation now. Let sleep take you. It is a trusted friend, here to guide you through the quiet hours of the night. Surrender to its gentle embrace. It is time. Sleep. Deeper now. The world fades away. All sound fades away. All thought fades away. There is only the deep, comfortable darkness of peaceful, dreamless sleep. A perfect void. A perfect peace. A perfect rest. You are completely asleep now. Drifting through the quiet landscapes of your dreams, you are held safely by the night. Rest until the morning comes. So peaceful, so still. The great silence holds you. Sleep now. Rest, deep healing rest. Sleep well. Good night. Silence.